Another PTU restart was upon us, and I decided on an idea that I wanted to try out. What I didn't know was that it would lead me on an adventure to something I'd been waiting for a long time. The rabid raccoon was ready to go, and we were setting course for Daymar. So I needed to unlock the public enemy missions that we'd seen in a recent video. As those missions fall into the mercenary category, I figured completing the security contractor mission for Crusader would be a good start. The sands of Daymar look particularly clean today. I'm not sure why, but it gave me pause and a moment to just enjoy the desert. I didn't have any gear though, so I'd be going in unarmed. When entering a bunker unarmed, sometimes you can get lucky and find a weapons box near the elevator. But today I was not so lucky. I'd need to scout the bunker itself. The enemy were pretty responsive today. On the next attempt though, I spotted an opportunity. This cover was bad. I'd need to move. The storage room is a better option. Only one way in and plenty of weapons lying on the ground already. As I was picking up another gun, someone was trying to get closer. With only one hostile remaining, I'd used the opportunity to take some heavy armor from a dead security guard. So the Mercenary Certification mission for Crusader was complete, and I could leave the bunker and be on my way. But here is what I learned. The public enemy missions, despite falling into the Mercenary category, are not unlocked by completing the Mercenary Certification mission. The missions themselves are formatted more like bounties, and so the next thing to try was the bounty certifications, both for the Bounty Hunter Guild and Crusader Security. First was the basic tracker cert, and even with the stock loadout, these kind of targets are destroyed in seconds against the Corsair. This opened up the offer from Crusader, and again it was likely to be a very outmatched ship that we were hunting. Leaving the Rings of Yela, I take a look and see if the public enemy missions were now available. They were now available, and the reason I wanted to gain access to them was that I believe they will make a good practice environment for Dragonfly combat. You see, Dragonfly can be very effective during events like Jump Town. In our org, for example, Stick has demonstrated an enormous benefit to using Dragonfly for patrolling and engaging infantry in the past, but actually hitting dismounted targets from the Dragonfly is very difficult, even with scatterguns. I am pretty good at using a Dragonfly for transport. For combat though, that is a different thing altogether. I do believe that this is a skill that can be learned though, and the Caterpillar wreck sites with their scattering of hostiles on foot is kind of perfect for this purpose. But on picking up my Dragonfly, I'd spot an enemy contact on the ground nearby, and I got a little curious. So I figured I'd go take a look. It was less than 2 kilometers away. The enemy ship was a reinforcement cutlass. I'd forgotten there was a derelict outpost not too far from Shubin mining. The outpost looked clear, but the cutlass was still there. As I approached though, the cutlass took off to the skies. The first public enemy mission I'd received was over on Selin, so I'd be jumping to private property and manually searching for the Caterpillar wreck. Once I was on the ground, it was time to get the Dragonfly out again. So the considerations at play when trying to engage infantry on a Dragonfly are that they may have a railgun to hand, and that will kill you in a single hit. Obviously that isn't the case with the AI here, but the point of practicing this is to hopefully improve aiming while strafing. If you slow down too much against players, you die, but the Dragonfly is also prone to sudden changes in nose position as you move. I am attempting to use head and eye tracking to manually control my weapon gimbals. But it's the sudden jumps in nose angle that makes consistent tracking a challenge. With all the targets dead at Selin, I'd be moving on to Yela. And this time I was going to rely more on eye tracking, so included a very subtle Toby ghost bubble on the screen. There was a medical Pisces here, but it looked abandoned. I felt like the eye tracking definitely helped with getting the reticle to the general target area, but I was far from wielding fine control. A lot of practice would be needed, I feel. One thing I hadn't done between missions was restock on ammo, and I was running low.
You are out of ammo. Shield system is hit.
I often get comments about my thirst meter reading very low. Well, I needed a drink right now. I didn't have anything on me, but that medical Pisces was right there. The Pisces belong to Foxtrot 513. I'd just be helping myself to a few items from the supply cabinet. On leaving the Pisces, a 9-tails cutlass was inbound, and I was hoping that it would not spot my dragonfly. But as I pushed closer, I was gonna push inside and take out the crew. But on this occasion, the cockpit door appeared to be locked. I take out a few more of the 9-tails for ammo and weapons. And the Pisces would be my shortcut back to the Rabid Raccoon.
All systems online. Landing complete. Engines offline.
So to avoid the ammo situation forcing lots of trips to rearm, I decided to pick up some laser scatterguns instead. These are sold at the business district of Lawville, and so a trip to Hurston was on the cards. It was almost smooth sailing, but as I was making the final approach to Hurston, I'd be interdicted by pirates. I was able to fend them off, but an idea had occurred to me while making the final jump. We'd assumed that the public enemy missions were only located at Crusader because we'd assumed they were locked behind the Mercenary Certification. Now that we knew they were behind the Bounty Certification, maybe they would feature here around Hurston too. This was an exciting idea because the moons of Hurston, Arial and Magda in particular are to my eyes some of the most beautiful locations in Stanton. There just isn't really much of a reason to visit them at present. This has always been a shame because, like I said, they are quite beautiful, but maybe now we'd finally have a reason to stick around. I'd be making landfall at HDMS Lathan on Arial. Just like at Crusader though, first thing to do was gain a Bounty Hunter Cert with Hurston. The target was at one of the weapon testing sites over Aberdeen. On my first pass I was in lag pip, and with gimbaled weapons this always throws me. Second pass was with lead pips. Following the death of our target, the missions would be available, except they were a little different here. They were called authorized execution warrants instead of public enemy declared, and they did not list a location in the mission description like they did at Crusader. This can be a problem because just like at Crusader, some of the mission locations here are missing markers altogether. Without even a moon listed in the description, well, some will be very difficult to complete. We were back on Arial though to visit a Caterpillar 5 kilometers from HDMS Bezdek. There was some ground to cover, but when riding a Dragonfly at night, if you send out regular pings, it's pretty easy to map the obstacles ahead of you. When I arrived at the Caterpillar, the terrain looked challenging, not to traverse, but to get the nose pointed where I wanted while shooting. I was familiar with this wreck from an event we'd run with the org last year. At this wreck site, some of the hostiles were also inside the wreck. And seeing the hostiles inside really made me want to come back and run it on foot. I think it would be a lot of fun. With the target dead, I chose not to hang around. The terrain at this wreck is like the extreme end of unsuitable for a Dragonfly, and I was also very excited to move on to Magda. We'd run events here on Arial before, but we've never really run anything on Magda. Before leaving Arial though, I needed to collect some items I'd left at Latham, and when I arrived, there were other players here. The mule would come for a look, but would just sit there observing. I sent a friendly hello, but I didn't get a reply. Maybe he thought I was up to no good because the Rabid Raccoon is a Corsair. It didn't matter to us though, we were on our way to Magda. On the dark side of Magda, it looks like a dark turquoise ball, but when you travel to the light side, you are met with a very pleasing palette of colour. I personally really like the coloration of the ground and sky on this moon, and we were heading to HDMS Han, a site close to the target. We'd lose the target marker en route though, and I'd once again need to refer to the excellent charts of Murphy Exploration Group to gain a rough bearing to the Caterpillar. But when I left the ship to pull a Dragonfly, there was a ship overhead firing. I knew immediately this was most likely an NPC ship, target for some bounty mission. And so after recovering the Dragonfly, I made a dash to the west, assuming I could just slip under these ships. The ships were giving chase, and I was being shot at. The first had crashed, but the second, a Mustang Delta, had rocket pods. I caught some air and toyed with the idea of trying to engage the Mustang, but as we've already mentioned, you can only really aim the nose while in mid-air. On the ground, you have no reliable control over gun elevation. I'd be making a dash back to the outpost to pick up the ship and take out this Mustang in the air. Obviously, what was a major threat to the Dragonfly isn't even a light snack for the Corsair. I was now free to continue my search to the west, looking for the Caterpillar crash site. I had underestimated the distance though. I figured it might be about 5 or 10 kilometers, but when the target marker reappeared, we traveled almost 30 kilometers. As I moved upon the rack, I noticed that the target marker was in the compartment up ahead. All of the guards appeared to be on the far side. I took my opportunity to take out target without alerting the guards. and I was gone, to return to HDMS Han. It was a nice first day of exploring the caterpillars on Hurston's moons, and getting some practice in with the dragonfly, but this was not the only expedition to the moons that we would make, as I wanted to bring out some teammates to hit them all on foot as well, and we'd learn a few more details on the way. We'll be back with part 2 of this little investigation very soon. As always, I want to thank all of you at home for watching, and all of our amazing patrons who you can see on screen right now. Thank you all for your very generous support of the channel. Without patrons like you, none of the videos here would be possible. And in this video, I'm especially thanking Thomas C, Vornad, and Instigator, who all recently became backers of the channel over on Patreon. Thank you all for your very generous support. We'll be back soon with more from Star Citizen.